Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Naina Redhu experience. I've changed the settings a bit. If you're watching this on video, I usually do it at my desk, but I'm doing it in the living room right now because the desk area is really hot because of the sun. Yes, hello summers. I'm sorry again that it took a really long time to post another episode. I have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but I think I kind of waited till I was a little less emotional because I find that there are some things that I'm very passionate about, and then I tend to get like super emotional about them, and then I'm like, maybe I should wait because I do want to be kind. I don't want to just react because something upset me, and it's not about me always. It's about my reaction to something. So I always tend to like stop and take a breath. So I think I am fairly non-emotional now, and I can probably talk about it objectively. One of the things that I wanted to talk about that I was a part of, if you were looking at my Instagram feed or my Twitter feed, etc., you would have noticed that I was part of a recent Blogger Award events. This was managed and created by the Cosmopolitan India magazine team. And it's pretty amazing, the things that are happening for influencers now. There is a awards platform, there are conferences in the country that happen. You guys must have already heard. I mean, the first blogging influencing conference that I actually went to was the one that's organized by So Delhi. And so my experience with a blogging conference in that sense was limited to what I'd seen with So Delhi. And this was a completely different experience, the one that I saw with Cosmo, and the team was kind enough to invite me. The Naina.co blog had been nominated in the category of street style, and there were two others that were nominated, and one of those guys won. I mean, my blog didn't get the award, but that's okay. I mean, I wanted to talk from a point of view of why I was there in the first place. I normally don't go anywhere unless I'm paid to. So I purely went out of curiosity because I wanted to see what Cosmo was doing. I knew that a lot of bloggers were invited from all over the country, a lot of girls that I had never met. And unfortunately, I do say girls because a majority of the blogging janta is women, especially in the fashion and lifestyle space. Guys are coming up for sure, and I want to see more of them doing good work. So I purely went out of curiosity to kind of see, like, let's see kya ho raha hai and stuff like that, and I was not disappointed. I mean, obviously I'm not going to name names, etc., but I'm going to give you a general overview of what I kind of saw and what I think, and where I think the space is right now and where I think it's going. And obviously there are some things that I'm happy about, like us having a platform, like a magazine, a print magazine like Cosmopolitan, giving us a platform and encouraging and kind of validating and legitimizing what we do. On the other hand, there was a lot of, after the 2 days that I was there, I came back and it was like, what am I doing here? Like, are these the people that I'm competing with? Because I felt like that is not something I could compete with. I don't think there was anybody in the room that I could compete with in that sense, I'm not like almost 6 feet tall. I don't look like a model. I mean, I'm not, thin in that sense. I probably have like, if those girls have a 100 on 100 style quotient, I probably have like a 50 on 100 style quotient. Appearances for me, I mean, it's never been that important. I know that it is important in any industry. There's a certain professionalism. You need to appear groomed and clean and things like that, but those girls take it to another level, and I don't think I can compete with that. Also because I think I'm old, like I've been around for so long, so I had a huge bout of self-doubt and insecurity, and I did see the comparison between the bloggers from Bombay and the bloggers from Delhi, and it was really interesting to be there. I think one thing that definitely hit me was that everyone's really nice, and not like in a fake pretentious way. The girls were really genuinely nice, so that's great, I think, because I kind of had the complete opposite opinion of the blogging industry in general in India, and I'm very happy to be proven wrong. I do think that there could be more dialogue. I think we could all talk to each other a little more and talk about how we deal with our struggles, and in real terms, and not be like, oh yeah, you have to be passionate about it and you have to write about it and it takes a long time. But like real day-to-day work on things like, if you got a bad client, how did you deal with it? How did you make sure that your client was delighted with the work that you did? What exactly was the work that you delivered? What kind of revenues are you making? What are good seasons? What industries are reaching out to bloggers, etc., etc. So I didn't see a lot of that. I didn't see it on stage. There was an open house and there was a panel discussion. I think the panel discussion was kind of my favorite. The open house was a little weird because they didn't really introduce the bloggers and they were just put on stage, and it was like, okay, here they are and you can ask them whatever you want. I mean, I understand all of us are, famous in our own worlds, but not everyone knows who everyone is. So just like having an introduction would have been nice. There were no people from the industry who were invited. I think the only person I saw was Hemant from Lekone Hemant and his marketing manager. Apart from that, there was no one from the industry. I mean, people who could have been potential clients for us. So maybe that's another thing that they could look at. Like, for example, in the So Delhi blogging confluence, what happens is that they don't just invite bloggers and influencers, whether you're a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or you're a blogger or whatever. They don't just invite you, they also invite people from the industry. So they'll invite people from PR agencies, they'll invite people from people who could, like, brands, so brand managers are there, marketing managers are there, PR managers are there. So it's really nice to not only, get on stage and meet other bloggers. Please trust me, we all meet each other all the time. But it's also nice to meet people who are on the other side and understand their perspective and talk to them. And, on a personal level, people talk differently. So when you meet them in person, they'll tell you that, oh, I've had like bad experiences and why do people do this and stuff like that. So that, not a lot of that was happening at the Cosmo event. Also, I think it would have been more accurate to call it the Fashion Influencer Awards instead of calling them the Blogger Awards, because a lot of people who had been nominated, some of them didn't even have blogs. Most of them had blogs, but their focus is usually on their separate channels. So like, most of them were Instagrammers. People had like 200,000, 500,000 followers on Instagram, but the blog has like 1,000 page views in a month. And I would call them an Instagrammer, like, just to be technically specific in that sense. So instead of saying, Instagrammer, blogger, YouTuber, Snapchatter or whatever, I think it would have been more relevant to say influencers. And most of the awards were for, fashion. Even my blog Street Style nomination, that was style related, right? So it was fashion. There was only one category for food. And there were no tech bloggers, there were no travel bloggers. So there were many large genres of blogging or influencing that weren't even present at the event. Now I completely understand that this is the first time such a glamorous event has happened for people in our space, and there will be learnings along the way, etc. So I'm just kind of trying to contribute to that. It definitely would have made sense to call them the Fashion Influencer Awards. There were, the categories involved. Best Vlog, obviously Sherry Shroff had to win that, like, duh. There was, I don't really remember what the categories were apart from that. But they were all like fashion related. So I think there is still a huge space to kind of, do what So Delhi does, and like, for example, what Cosmo did, and try to kind of bring it in the middle. Because So Delhi's event feels a little more like a trade event in that sense, and the Cosmo event felt more like a very glamorous, like an Oscars kind of event. So I would love to have something in the middle which is glam, but it is also useful, not just for someone like me who's been around and I want to meet other bloggers or other influencers in the same space who've been around for a while, but we are feeling self-doubt about, are we still relevant, who are we competing with, what does the industry look like, who are the brands we should be working with. But we also meet with other brands, other people who work with brands, people who work with PR agencies, the people who are actually getting us work, and they're like the middle, the line of defense. So I think that would be really, really cool. I'm very keen to see what happens next year. That was one of the things. What else? I mean, I needled some of the people on stage, and I was like, so would you mind sharing what your revenues are? What kind of money do you actually make? Because I get a lot of emails from younger people who are considering being an influencer as a career option, and they're always like, how much can we expect to make? I've been answering God knows how many surveys I get in Google Forms and this and that, and they're like, what is the range of income you make? And it's all anonymous, etc. So I understand it can be a little intimidating for someone to answer on stage, or maybe it's none of my business and no one really wants to talk about it. I kind of get it. So I did say that, I got an email from someone saying that I am going to be pursuing an MBA, or I am pursuing an MBA, and the first job that I'm getting, my annual salary is going to be around 24 lakhs. So if I decide to be an influencer, a blogger, or whatever, how much money can I expect to make? Like, will it be more than this? Will it be less than this? Will it be worth it giving up my MBA while a career and things like that? And I was like, what do you say to something like that? So my first question, or I think if you're considering this as an option, right, and you're not really sure, you're a student, you've just gotten out of college, etc., and you don't really come from a wealthy family, one of the things I would suggest is that you must ask the question, and a lot of bloggers will probably respond on email or in person, so if you can catch them there, that'll be nice. You should ask how many people do they have on their team, okay? Not everyone works like me. I am literally solo. Like, I do everything on my own. I have a financial advisor who files my taxes. I have recently also started working with a PR agency. It's called Wishbox Studio. They're based out of Delhi and Bombay. And they are going to be handling a lot of PR for me. And we're also trying to see if they can, liaise with clients on my behalf, because I cannot handle on the inbound volume that I get of work. So, but in that sense, I don't really have anyone on my team. I don't have a person who's my manager, who's on the Naina.co team, So it's important to ask. So, when I say something like, okay, I billed around 24 lakhs last year, which is actually the figure that I billed. That's just me. There's no one else on the team. Whereas when someone else says that, okay, I have 5 people on my team, right? Out of those 5 people, how many of them are your family members? Are you actually paying them a salary? How many of them are friends who are just doing it for you to kind of help you out, for example? If they're not, then if you have 5 people on your team, how much are you paying them? And then what revenue are you actually making? How much are you actually billing? What is your gross income? What is your net income? And you have to ask these questions, okay? And obviously not a lot of people will want to share those things, which is fair enough. I mean, it's up to them. But you should be asking all this stuff, and you must understand the background of the person where they came from. Like, for example, even for me, even though I don't really come from a wealthy family, I still think that I had a pretty privileged teenage life otherwise. I mean, there was a time where I couldn't even afford 9,000 rupees rent in Bombay. It was that bad. But there are people who don't even make 9,000 rupees like in the entire month, and they don't have things to like eat and shit. So, I mean, I know it sounds terrible to say this, but I feel like I'm still very, very privileged. I mean, I got to do an MBA, like, for fuck's sake. My parents were pretty broke. They're 4Gs. They didn't have a lot of money. Even spending, I think, the 2.5, 3 lakhs for a 2-year MBA for me was like, oh my God, where are we going to get this money from? So for someone like that to come to a point where I'm saying that I work whenever I want to, I decide who I want to work with, I say no to 99% of the projects or inquiries that I get. I probably do 24 assignments in a year, like maximum 24 assignments in a year. So for someone like me to say I build 24 lakhs, you understand the context, yeah? So you need to understand the context of where someone is coming from. If someone is, someone is a sibling or a wife or a husband or a spouse of somebody who is helping them run that business, then that's different. And then what is the revenue that they're making? See, right now, I think not a lot of people are making a lot of money, to be honest, is kind of what the impression I got. Not in the fashion influencing space, okay? If you're looking at tech bloggers, etc., don't even look at them. They are making, I think, way more than any fashion influencer in India right now is making. I can say that with about 99% certainty, okay? So you have to understand all these things and have context for that. I don't think these things were discussed at all. I think some of this gets discussed at So Delhi. I think in So Delhi, people are a lot more open about, asking the tough questions and answering pointed questions. And I kind of apologize, but I ask a lot of pointed questions. So it's, and I mean, the number of people who show up in So Delhi is also insane. I think last time they had like 2,000 people who like registered and shit. So the Cosmo event had very few people. Yeah, I mean, even in the open house, the second one that we were sitting for, I think there must have been like 40-50 people. I'm probably overestimating. But it's fucking fabulous that this shit is happening. Like, can you imagine a print magazine is basically legitimizing bloggers or people who are in the digital space. They're extending a hand in friendship and, you know, doing this. And I mean, I'm sure they also got sponsorships and stuff like that and all. That's how it works. But it's pretty cool. And let's see where it goes. It's pretty fun, exciting times. I think the next 2 years will be like massive in this industry, at least in India. So yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about was Rahul Gandhi. I don't know if any of you have seen what I've been posting. I posted a selfie with him a few weeks ago and that basically lit up my Instagram. A lot of people lost their shit and I was like, you know, people have no context of what's happening. They're just like, "Arey, Rahul Gandhi ke sath selfie post kar raha hai, to now she's with Congress." So anyway, that happened and I got like 150 comments on that. I mean, you know, usually on Instagram, you post an image and you'll get some comments. So like 5 comments by people who leave comments on that and then 5 of them will be my responses. So it shows total 10 comments, right? On this, there were like 130, 150 comments and maybe one was my response to a friend of mine who was pulling my leg. That's it. So anyway, that happened. I have been attempting to photograph I mean, there's nothing specific happening right now, but I did photograph an event in Bangalore that Rahul Gandhi went and had a conversation with women, etc. I am not trying to make a political statement here, and like Bharat says, it's not that I'm not making a political statement. It's just the fact that I am posting those images and people are going to assume that I am making a political statement. So all I want to say is that it's a lot of fun being in this position to have access and to be able to, you know, be like a fly on the wall in a room where people are having conversations about the future of this country, because I am really concerned about what is happening in the country right now. I have been concerned, honestly, since the BJP came into power, or should I say the RSS came into power. So as a regular common person, citizen, I'm like, what the fuck is happening and what can I do? Can I do anything at all? I'm not sure I can. I mean, I'm just a photographer at the end of the day. I have a blog, sure, but it's not a political blog. I write about lifestyle, I make pretty pictures and things like that. But it's nice to at least be in a room, and I mean, tomorrow, you know, if like a Narendra Modi or someone from his staff calls him up and says that we would want you to come and capture this event he's doing, maybe he's having a conversation with women, etc., I would never say no, because for me it's about you know, also being like probably the only woman in the country who's doing this. So for me it was that I did it purely out of curiosity. I wanted to be there and see what's happening, and oh my god, the number of questions I've gotten after that. How is Rahul Gandhi in person? And dude, I don't know, like I haven't spent any time with him. Like I didn't meet him in person. I was in the room and I was photographing, and he sounded like a cool, articulate guy. Yeah? Like if you met someone at, you know, at a social event and they spoke intelligently, and that's what he sounded like. Like I don't know him. So I look at everything like this. It's same like, oh my god, you know, I like hate Narendra Modi. They're commenting under my selfie with Rahul Gandhi. Like how is that relevant? Like, you know, that guy is not even there in the photo. I've never met Narendra Modi either. I don't know what he's like in person again. I mean, everyone gets so emotional with the whole politics. I just wanted to put it out here that please give me a fucking break. I don't care what your politics are, as long as you're not hurting another human being and you are trying to do something for the country which, you know, will lead to a general upliftment of everybody. I'm okay with that, and I don't care what party you belong to, you don't belong to, you support, you don't support. Like I really don't give two shits about it. But it's so exciting to be doing something like this, and I mean, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Having access like this is insane, and for that I have to thank Divya. Divya Spandana heads the social media team for the Indian National Congress, and she's the one who kind of got in touch with me and said like, do you want to like explore possibility of photographing, etc. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it, why not? So I'm purely there as a curious photographer to try and make some nice pictures and to maybe hopefully document you know, this era in our country's history, and that's what excites me about this. Apart from that, I had a trip planned. I was supposed to go to Jim Corbett on the 21st. That's fucked up. That's not happening. So I am now trying to go and make the best of the vacation while I stay in Gurgaon. I do have some meetings lined up, so let's see what happens. But right now, work as such is pretty slow. There's not much happening. I think since the financial year started, there's been a lot of inquiries. I mean, there was one inquiry I got from a mobile device company from 3 different agencies. And it was the exact same proposal, and they were all asking for a quotation. And one of the agencies said, oh, we cannot disclose the client name to you, whereas the other 2 had disclosed. So it's such a weird thing this happens, and I'm 99% sure that the gig is never going to work out. If it changes, guess where you'll hear about it. So yeah, thanks for listening. And if you have any specific questions for the Naina Redhu experience, more than happy to answer. Please don't ask me political stuff because I don't know anything about politics. And that's going to be my forever excuse. So yeah, cool. Thanks for listening. Bye.